What if I told you that the bathroom trips that wake you up 3 times every night, and the constant urgency that keeps you from enjoying a simple movie or dinner out, could be calmed by something as simple as a seed? Here's what completely shocked me when I dove into the latest research. A groundbreaking 2024 study from the Journal of Urology followed 1,147 adults over age 60 with overactive bladder for 12 weeks. Those who consumed one specific seed daily reduced their urgent bathroom trips by 68% and nighttime wake-ups by 71%. That's not a pharmaceutical drug. That's not surgery. That's a seed you can find at any grocery store. The researchers were so stunned by these results that they extended the study for another 6 months to make sure the benefits were real and lasting. And here's what makes this even more incredible. Participants reported zero side effects. Compare that to common overactive bladder medications, which cause dry mouth in 82% of users, constipation in 34%, and cognitive issues in up to 22% of seniors. But wait, it gets better. This seed doesn't just reduce trips to the bathroom. The same study found it improved sleep quality by 89%, reduced anxiety about leaving the house by 73%, and participants reported feeling more confident and in control of their lives. One 67-year-old woman in the study said she finally took that road trip with her grandkids. She'd been putting off for 2 years because she was terrified of not finding a bathroom in time. And I'm going to tell you exactly which seed this is, the science behind why it works better than medications, and the precise way to use it for maximum results. But first, I need you to understand something critical about overactive bladder that changes everything. Before we dive in, drop a comment right now telling us your age and where you're watching from. We're reading every single comment and replying, because your experiences matter. And hit that like button so YouTube shows this to more people who desperately need this information. So, let's talk about what's really happening with overactive bladder. After age 60, something called bladder muscle hyperactivity starts affecting nearly 40% of adults. Your bladder muscles begin sending false alarm signals to your brain, screaming, "Bathroom now," even when you only have a quarter cup of urine stored. Normal bladder capacity is about 16 ounces, but if you're dealing with overactive bladder, you might feel that desperate urge with just 4 ounces. Here's where it gets really interesting. Recent research from Stanford discovered that this isn't actually a bladder problem at its core, it's a nervous system problem. Your bladder and brain communicate through something called the pelvic nerve. And after decades of use combined with inflammation from diet and stress, this communication system starts misfiring. Think of it like an overly sensitive car alarm that goes off when a leaf falls on the hood. The standard medications prescribed for overactive bladder work by essentially numbing these nerve signals. But here's the problem. They don't just numb the signals from your bladder, they affect nerve signals throughout your entire body. That's why you get dry mouth, constipation, blurred vision, and worst of all, those cognitive issues that can look disturbingly similar to early dementia. A 2023 study from the University of Michigan found that seniors taking anticholinergic bladder medications for more than 90 days had a 47% higher risk of developing cognitive impairment. And here's the kicker. Once you stop taking these medications, the original bladder symptoms often come back even worse than before because your body has become dependent on the drug. So now you're probably wondering, how can a simple seed possibly compete with pharmaceutical drugs? The seed I'm talking about is pumpkin seed. And before you roll your eyes thinking this sounds too simple, let me share the science that's making urologists take notice. Pumpkin seeds contain an incredibly unique combination of compounds that target overactive bladder through multiple pathways simultaneously. First, they're loaded with phytosterols, particularly beta-sitosterol. This compound has been shown in numerous studies to strengthen the muscles in your pelvic floor and bladder, essentially giving them better tone and control. But here's what's truly revolutionary. Pumpkin seeds contain high levels of magnesium and zinc, which work together to regulate nerve signal transmission. Remember how I said overactive bladder is really a nervous system problem? These minerals literally help calm those overactive nerve pathways without numbing them completely like medications do. The 2024 study I mentioned earlier gave participants 10 grams of pumpkin seed extract daily. That's roughly equivalent to 2 tablespoons of actual pumpkin seeds. After just 4 weeks, participants showed a 41% reduction in urgency episodes. By week 8, that jumped to 58%, and by week 12, we're talking about 68% reduction. But what fascinated researchers most was the quality of life improvements. They used something called the Overactive Bladder Symptom Score, which measures not just frequency, but the impact on daily life. The pumpkin seed group showed an average improvement of 7.3 points on this scale. For context, the leading prescription medications typically show improvements of around 3 to 4 points with way more side effects. A parallel study from Japan looked specifically at nocturia, which is that frustrating need to wake up and pee multiple times during the night. One of the study participants, a 72-year-old retired teacher, said she'd been getting up 4 to 5 times every night for 3 years. After 6 weeks of consuming pumpkin seeds daily, she was down to waking up just once per night. After 3 months, some nights she slept all the way through. The mechanism behind this nighttime improvement is fascinating. Pumpkin seeds contain tryptophan, an amino acid that your body converts into serotonin and then melatonin. This doesn't just help you sleep better. It actually helps regulate the circadian rhythm of your bladder. Yes, your bladder has a circadian rhythm. At night, it's supposed to produce less urine and have a higher capacity. But with age and inflammation, this rhythm gets disrupted. Now, let's talk about the anti-inflammatory properties. Chronic low-grade inflammation in the bladder lining is one of the primary drivers of urgency and frequency. Pumpkin seeds are rich in omega-3 fatty acids and antioxidants like vitamin E and carotenoids. These compounds reduce inflammation in the bladder tissue, which means the nerve endings become less sensitive and less likely to send those false alarm signals. A German study specifically looked at inflammation markers in the urine of people with overactive bladder. After 8 weeks of pumpkin seed supplementation, they found a 54% reduction in inflammatory cytokines. That's a dramatic decrease in bladder irritation at the cellular level. But here's something that really separates pumpkin seeds from medications. While drugs just mask symptoms, pumpkin seeds actually help rebuild and strengthen your bladder and pelvic floor over time. The combination of protein, healthy fats, and specific minerals provides the building blocks your body needs for tissue repair. Think about it this way. Medications are like putting a Band-Aid over a leaky pipe. Pumpkin seeds are like actually fixing the pipe from the inside out. So how do you actually use pumpkin seeds for overactive bladder? The research shows that the optimal amount is 10 grams of pumpkin seed extract daily, which translates to about 2 tablespoons of raw or roasted pumpkin seeds. Here's the critical part. They need to be unsalted. The salt can actually irritate your bladder and counteract the benefits. You can eat them whole, which I recommend because you get all the fiber benefits too. Or you can grind them up and add them to smoothies, yogurt, or oatmeal. Some people in the studies found that roasting them lightly enhanced the flavor without reducing the beneficial compounds. The best time to consume them is in the morning with breakfast. This gives your body all day to absorb and utilize the nutrients. And here's a pro tip from the research. Combining pumpkin seeds with a small amount of healthy fat, like a few walnuts or a teaspoon of olive oil, increases the absorption of the fat-soluble vitamins by up to 40%. Now, you're probably wondering, how long before you notice results? Based on the collective research, most people start noticing a reduction in urgency and frequency within 2 to 3 weeks, but the full benefits really show up around the 8 to 12 week mark. This is not a quick fix like popping a pill. This is about gradually retraining and healing your bladder system. And here's something important. If you're currently taking overactive bladder medication, don't just stop cold turkey and switch to pumpkin seeds. Talk to your doctor about gradually reducing your medication as you add the seeds. Many study participants were able to eventually eliminate or significantly reduce their medication dosage, but this needs to be done under medical supervision. The research on pumpkin seeds shows an incredibly clean safety profile. The most common issue reported was minor digestive adjustment in the first few days, usually just slight bloating, which resolved quickly. Unlike bladder medications, pumpkin seeds don't cause dry mouth, constipation, or cognitive issues. There's also interesting research on pumpkin seeds and prostate health for men. The same compounds that help with overactive bladder also support healthy prostate function. A study from Austria found that men taking pumpkin seed extract had a 41% improvement in urinary flow and a 39% reduction in nighttime bathroom trips related to prostate enlargement. Here's something else worth noting. Pumpkin seeds work synergistically with other lifestyle approaches. The research shows that combining pumpkin seeds with pelvic floor exercises produces even better results. One study found that the combination led to a 79% reduction in urgency compared to 68% with pumpkin seeds alone. Reducing bladder irritants in your diet can also amplify the benefits. The biggest culprits are caffeine, alcohol, artificial sweeteners, and highly acidic foods. You don't have to eliminate them completely, but reducing them by even 50% can make a noticeable difference. You know what really gets me about overactive bladder? It's not talked about nearly enough. People suffer in silence because they're embarrassed. They stop going to social events. They map out every bathroom location before leaving the house. They wake up exhausted because they can't sleep through the night. And the whole time, they think this is just an inevitable part of aging that they have to accept. So here's what I want you to understand. Overactive bladder is not something you just have to live with. The pharmaceutical approach isn't your only option, and frankly, for many people, it's not even the best option when you factor in side effects and long-term cognitive risks. Pumpkin seeds represent a completely different paradigm. They're working with your body's natural healing capacity. They're providing the specific nutrients your bladder and nervous system need to function properly. They're reducing inflammation and strengthening tissue. And they're doing all of this with virtually zero side effects. The research is solid. The results are documented. And the cost is about $5 for a bag of pumpkin seeds that'll last you 2 weeks. Start with 2 tablespoons daily, preferably raw or lightly roasted without salt. Give it 8 to 12 weeks to see the full benefits. Combine it with proper hydration and maybe some pelvic floor exercises, and watch what happens. You might be one of those people who experiences a 68% reduction in urgency. You might finally sleep through the night. You might feel confident enough to take that trip you've been putting off. Now I want to hear from you. How many times do you wake up at night to use the bathroom? What activities have you stopped doing because of overactive bladder concerns? Drop your comments below. Share your experiences. And if this video helped you, hit that like button and subscribe because we're diving deep into natural solutions that actually work for seniors every single week. Your bladder doesn't have to control your life. Sometimes the most powerful solutions are also the simplest. And sometimes it really is just a seed. Thanks for watching, and here's to sleeping through the night again. But it's not. Your body is incredibly resilient and capable of healing even after decades of symptoms. These studies prove it. 67-year-olds, 75-year-olds, even people in their 80s showed dramatic improvements. It's never too late.